Ihani washte. Wocheke washte wihemia. Now English is Shirley Crane. It's a good day to be here today and greet you with a warm handshake and a good heart.
What are the 7 Lakota values and what do they mean to you personally?
Personally, all those values are, to me, they've lived, they used to live them, you lived them. And all about respect, fortitude, bravery, courage, humility, spirituality. All those things are very important to us, and it all evolves into one thing which adds up to respect. Because I feel if you respect yourself, your mind, your heart, your body, you have no problems in life. Today in this world we live in, I always tell my grandchildren, you have no problems. You'll abide by the laws that are here. You will do what you have to do and be thankful and grateful and humble about the things you do. You do it from your heart, you know, so it shouldn't be hard. But unfortunately, as like I said, times have changed, so it is different. It's not as simple as it used to be when I was growing up. The simplest of it when it comes to mind is like even a trash piece of paper. Open it, we kept it in our hands or stuck in our pocket, because our thought, or my thought then was, you know, we don't want to be destroying Mother Earth. We don't want to be, you know, we walk on her, so we don't want to be throwing trash on her and spitting on Mother Earth, you know. That's how deep the meaning was for me back then.
Another question we have for you is, do you think kids these days have lost respect for their culture, their elders, and themselves?
Yes, I think the respect is not there, and it needs to be reinstilled again and talked about more often in the homes, or mainly in the homes. Because the simplest thing is saying excuse me, or instead of move, say excuse me. Or because it's, when you go in public, you know, it's obvious. You could tell, I could tell, there's young people there who help. They're out there helping to do things, serving or whatever it may be, or helping some elder walk in and sit down, or getting a chair for them. And they know how to help, and they're very respectful in that way, and they help them out.
What was the very first ceremony that you can remember that you attended? How was your experience?
The very first ceremony I attended was in the Inipi, the Sweat Lodge, at Noah Grassropes. He tells you the ground rules, and one of the things I remember him saying is that when we pray, we're in a circle, and when we pray, so while you are in here, we don't want to break that prayer, so we stay in here. We sit in here and we pray until it's over with. And there are songs that go with it, the opening songs and the Chanupa songs and closing songs and Thanksgiving songs and thank you songs, and then the closing songs. So that was a good beginning for me in that way, because little did I know it, but it was. And you could never say you're bored, because you could, if you helped, we helped our grandma too, dry cherries. There's a lot of things. We went to bed. If we didn't have electricity, we just had lights. We went to bed early, got up early, you know. Mm-hmm. We never slept all day. We couldn't, it just wasn't part of that time.
What's your favorite dish that can be used ceremonially and even in the freedom of your own home? What's your favorite traditional dish?
Mine is, well, there's two. I like tripe. That's a lot of work, you know, to clean it initially, but anymore it's done differently. It's really so clean, everyone likes it. Also I like wasna. I never get tired of eating that.
Can you maybe explain to us what tripe and wasna are made up of?
Tripe comes from the the buffalo or the beef, their stomach, the intestines, because sometimes they use the intestines too. But they call it the punch, the English word. And the book is just a part of the stomach where it looks like a book. Got a lot of leaves in it, or little parts in it. That comes from that, and the buffalo is the best. Well, they're both good, but I like buffalo. Oh, wasna, you can make, there's several ways to make that. Cornmeal wasna with raisins and sugar. Some people today, they use vegetable oil, but like I said before, we used kidney fat, or they call it tallow, to hold it together. And then there's the dried beef with, again, you could use dried beef with some cornmeal, some of them use it, or dried beef with just cherries. And that's when they make it into like a ball, with the tallow fat, of course. You have to have that tallow. I like the tallow better. The wasna is used for like wiping of the tears. Mainly that, wiping of the tears, wasna and water.
Can you maybe elaborate and tell us step by step how to prepare wasna?
Well, first of all, if you get some deer's good. I said beef earlier, but deer is good. Get deer meat and get the hind quarter and slice it up and dry it. Hang it to dry. Of course, nowadays they got dehydrators. Hang it up to dry, and when it's dried, and you store it in a airtight container or a sack, cheesecloth sack, and you would, when it comes times to need it, then you just like chop it up and get your cherries, and sometimes those are grounded. They should be grounded anyway. Preferably dried patties, cherry patties. Then you just break them up, and you can heat it and put with your tallow in there, little cornmeal, or without cornmeal, either way, and mix it together. And I don't know, today some people probably use honey. I wouldn't use it the natural way. I wouldn't use any of that, really, because the cherries would make it sweet. But today some people use raisins too in there, which is good too. The first time I had to make it was when I gave my son a Lakota name, and my mom was there telling me how to make it, but I had to do it myself. That's the only way you could learn. You do it yourself. That's how come I remember how to do it. Otherwise, if I just had someone else do it, I probably wouldn't remember. But you do it yourself. Or that time I did it because I gave him a Lakota name.
Can you maybe share just a story or two off the top of your head that you remember listening to as a kid growing up with us?
Gee, there's a lot of them, but on what, anything?
Whatever you feel.
Well, there's one story they told us. Of course, growing up with having 3 sisters and 2 brothers, and sometimes bedtime would come and they'd be crying and not want to go to bed right away and be outside. So they told us, they'd be telling us stories. My grandpa would tell us a story about you better get in here and go to bed, stay in the house, come in, because if you stay outside and you want to pout and cry around, and that Chichi's gonna come and get you, and so what's his name? Or I don't know, but they'll take you and we won't see you anymore. So you better get in here. So we'd all run in the house and stay in the house, because we didn't want to. he didn't have a name. He just said that Gigi, so I was gonna get you. So you better come in and stay in now. It's dark. It's dark out, and he's out there when it's dark. So, and there was a lot of Grandpa Herbert Flute told us a lot of stories too. One of them was back in those days we didn't have a refrigerator. Maybe if you had electricity you had a refrigerator, but some of us, our families just put stuff in a ground, or if it's cool enough, they put it in a window. And I can't remember at that time he was telling a story, and he had something in a window. I don't remember if it was like the bacon and it comes in paper. If they just had it sitting there, and their windows were pretty high. They weren't low to the ground. And those houses then, they call them rehab houses. There's one up here, but they're pretty high. And all of a sudden, somebody really banged on that screen door. So the window. So we all screamed, and that's when he was telling us that story. But he said, "You don't eat after midnight, and you don't leave your food out like that. You heard what happened here. The Wanagis are out there, and they're hungry. The spirits are out there roaming around. Some are roaming around, so they're hungry. So therefore, you need to, whatever you're eating, better set it out. Say a prayer for them, and set it out, and so their souls will be nourished."
Is there any message whatsoever that you want to leave to the younger generations, the youth or the younger adults?
For all the young adults and young people, if you know who you are, if you know about yourself, and if you love yourself and forgive yourself, you will go a long way, because by forgiving and loving yourself, you are able to respect, and it will come naturally to you, everything in life, because you know yourself, you know who you are, you know where you come from. And as Lakota people, we all have our ancestors, and that's our history, and we are proud of our history. So that is in us, and a lot of us have those values instilled in us, the good values in life that help us and guide us. They are instilled there, and that's your guide right there. And if you follow those, you should have no problem in life. You should be able to get along and be there for your people. Remember, you're always here. No matter what you do, you are here for the people. From childhood to becoming adults and elders, we all have a purpose in that cycle of life. We go through each cycle, and it's a learning process. It's a lifelong learning process, and we never stop learning. And especially if you're connected to yourself, you'll know about the spirituality. And the spirituality is a lot of things too. And things that come out of your mouth, from your heart, the way you behave, the way you show it, the way you talk, and it's there. And we all have that as Lakota people. That spirituality connection is there already, and it'll just go a long way. But in this world of today, the modernized times, technology world, you really need to get your education to help yourself, because we no longer live in teepees. We no longer cook outside. We no longer hunt or go out getting our natural stuff like we used to all the time. That was a way of life. Some people still do it today, and it's a great thing to be able to do that yet, and preserve those ways, and we can still do that, can still live that way. But in this time, we have to remember to get your education and to balance that life between the Washichila world and the Lakota world. There's a balance there. It'll work out for you, and you'll know it because again, I was always told that when you pray, pray from your heart. When you do something for anyone, do it from your heart and don't talk. That way you don't talk about it. You know, it's called, we call it boasting, I guess, bragging. But when you do anything, do it from your heart. I just encourage you all to get your education, well, really, to know who you are, know yourself, know your ancestral ties, and be proud to be a Lakota, and always keep in prayer, and always be respectful, and you'll go a long way.